Again, a shame that I lost this one on time because he was quite a good player
Mm.
compared to me. And
Did you lose this one on time as well?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
again, till I get used to the timer.
Uh-huh.
I'm I spend a lot of time thinking much more than my opponent. My
Mm-hmm.
opponents play very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then, unfortunately, when he realized he was losing, he invaded me, and I just threw me off kill. I was thinking about how to kill him and lost some time.
Yeah, if you need to kill, it's really challenging because in Go we say that it's much more difficult to kill than to live.
Yeah, I know.
Because there are many
Mm.
ways to live and usually one line to kill. Some, it often happens um, to Moyo play. If you like to play Moyo a lot, then these sorts of all or nothing situations happen often. But when it comes to time, what I do recommend my students to do and all players to do in general, and this is a recommendation from pros here as well. As you develop a better opening, or at least a good enough opening for your own level, try to play it as quickly as possible. You don't need to rush, but
Mhm.
don't overthink during the opening, because during the opening, even if you get a good opening, you're gonna be like maybe 5 to 10 points ahead of your opponent. But any fight in the middle game is gonna be 20 points worth.
Yeah,
So
yes. Save for time for to read the fight.
yeah, save time for the middle game, and as you get to the end game, if it's Fisher, you're gonna accumulate a lot of time because the end game you can usually play faster. And so yeah, save time during the opening. You're gonna spend most of your time during the middle game, and that's also a rule for pro players, for the highest level players. That happens to them as well. That's their strategy as well. Oh, this exchange isn't great because it kills the Agi in the corner. So far, he played really well. You shouldn't attach here. Let's just go back a little bit further. So you're playing as black. Okay, you like the double Shimari from the 4-4. Great. And your opponents seem to like this sort of sequence. Oh, you're the one who played this sequence in the previous game.
Yeah,
It's usually not good because you're giving your opponent a lot of strength towards a side that was unsure. It was not clear that this was Black's territory, the A area. But now,
yeah,
as White gets uh, more stones towards B, Black will get more stones towards C, and the A area gets more and more solid for Black.
yeah. I know. I don't.
But
I think
but
that was a good exchange.
you should either extend or Hane to make sure the A area gets to be yours. Because
Mhm.
otherwise, your opponent is going to Hane on top of you. And even though maybe you can still get a lot from that area, it's not gonna be worthwhile anymore. Or maybe your opponent's moves on the outside will help him enough to justify giving you the right side.
Okay.
But maybe you can think it now, I don't know. But the honey on top is very big. This move is sort of slack. You can still you should probably still um, go up because there is a cutting point after you poke at A, and it's kind of severe because if he doesn't answer, um, capturing the two stones here is very big, and he's very weak, right? With the BC group, you're cutting the D group off, so Now, if he connects, you manage to add a stone to your group in Sente, which is great. Okay. This usually isn't played, this attachment here.
Yeah, no, it
F,
was a
I mean,
mistake. But
it isn't played in this sequence. Uh, Earlier, I was kind of mistaken because this attachment is played, but not with this Hane. And in my mind, I forgot that you played the I mean the white played B. I was thinking that white had played some sort of 3-3 or 3-4, and then you had attached there. If it is like this, just let me show you something. If it is like this, then um, uh, usually you shouldn't play here because uh, black's the Yaji in the corner is even smaller, and black's shape isn't good anyway, so you're gonna end up with an empty triangle here. If you're gonna play this sequence, it's for playing the Ko or getting this Atari, but this isn't great for black because as white protects the corner, black gets weaker and the corner is very stable. So this isn't usually played in this situation, but in the game, it's coming from the 4-4. And if it's coming from the 4-4, you don't follow it up with A. You follow it up with the double Hane. White can either Atari and then connect and then try to protect here or go from the top. This sequence is much more common when white has an extra move here, but when white doesn't have the extra move around A, it's worse for black because black is gonna have to protect here. And now when white reinforces the outside, white gets a very efficient shape on the left side because white has never spent a move around here, around A or B, which makes the left side more interesting. It might be uh, less strong, but it's strong enough because this schema is unbreakable because white has the letter. And if even if white doesn't have the letter somehow, white could still, let's say, it's difficult to not have the letter in this situation, but white can always slide here uh, and try to fight back. If white needs to fight back, then it might be not great for white. Okay, even better for white because white managed to get you into an empty triangle, which is very inefficient and heavy. All your stones are connected. Do you know the difference? Not the difference, but what we mean when we say that something is heavy.
yes, yeah, kind of all clumped together.
Yeah, it's not only that. We say it's not exactly that actually. We say something is heavy when we kind of need to save that in order to be even on the game or win the game. Um, now that all of your stones are connected, you need to save them all if you want to save one of them. And in that sense, it's kind of a burden. You're just burdening yourself when you connect all of your stones. If we compare it to a shape like this, for example, this is way less heavy because not only are you more stretched out, occupying more space with some sort of I space around B, but your A stone is not connected to your C stones. And in that sense, you don't need to save A to save C and vice versa. You don't need to invest yourself into saving everything to win the game. You can maybe die with C and still save A, or you can uh, do the do it the other way around. Save C and sacrifice A. You're more flexible like this. We say being heavy is similar to being burdened by the shape. If you are invading an opposite, your our opponent's moyo, and we have a lot of jumps, for example, we have flexibility because we don't need to save any, and we don't need to save all of the stones. We can save the stones separately. But if our opponent manages to get us to connect our shape, that's why peeps are important and severe. If now we get this situation, now our group gets much heavier. Uh, we are burdened by it. If we want to save the A stone, we need to save B as well. It doesn't mean that this is bad, but uh,
Yeah, I get it. But
yeah,
I mean, in this example, black has a lot of liberty, so
yeah,
it's not an issue. But I get the concept.
yeah, um, and also being heavy is it's usually bad, but yeah, it's probably bad in absolute terms, but sometimes you need to play like this. Sometimes it is the optimal play, but yeah, you're burdening yourself, not being very flexible at least. These moves are only solidifying the corner, the B, C, D moves, and white isn't getting much around E. You could even, yeah, honey here isn't that big, but it's still very big. Yeah, there are bigger moves on the board. Okay. Ah,
I
he
stole his.
he created an empty triangle here, very painful. And for no reason, you can just honey on the outside, and
Yeah, he played bad.
even if
Like,
there's a cut here and maybe white loses one of the stones, maybe B loses, maybe B dies, um, white can get compensation on the outside. And again, this is much more flexible because you're not fully connected. When you play C, you're connecting D and B together with an extra stone, the C stone, and you're getting heavier, like we said, like we just saw. When we play E, we're not fully connected and we're damaging our opponent's stone. And when we play C, we're also fixing black's shape. It would be much better to play E. And if black pulls back, then we can think about how to fix. One way to fix is this, the other is this. Um, there is weakness around A and B, but right now white can fight back because white has the C honey, which generates some thickness around the top. It helps a lot with fighting back the A and B invasions. Okay, this is great for you. Um, maybe maybe it's even better for you to extend because if you play here, now white can Atari and maybe fix his shape. Uh, it's still so heavy, so bad. Uh, and white is giving center back to black. So it isn't great still. So that's why playing heavy is so bad usually. Uh, you need to come back to fix, but it gives your opponent center back, and you didn't generate much in terms of points. So maybe this is still great, but mm, don't know which one is best actually. Mm, okay, nice invasion point. This is still probably one of the top AI recommendations I would bet, because the pushing cut is still so severe, and getting an extra liberty around C really helps in defending the D area. Now that you have the E stone, the D area is almost certainly your territory. Once white connects here, you can play a Keima, and the territory is so big. It's much bigger than this area. Um, we can even count the intersections between the stones. So between A and B, we have 4 intersections. But between C and D, we have 5. Not only do we have 5, we have to account for the E and F areas. So the right side is even bigger in that sense.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. So, do you have any questions?